Hey guys, here we're going to post-fight reaction video to Spence versus Garcia. Now, there's not going to be any footage on here. I'm going to be doing a full fight film study on my Patreon if you guys want to check it out. It'll be going up as soon as I finish doing this video. But yeah, pretty good fight from Errol Spence. As Danny Garcia mentioned at the end, Errol Spence had a pretty good jab on him. Now, Danny Garcia wasn't really crossing the line and getting his head off the line of that jab. As you can see, like, just from this angle, as Errol Spence approaches the line, as Danny Garcia stays on his back foot, when Danny Garcia stays in that position, if he doesn't cross the line or slip to the front foot, he's not going to be getting his head off that line of that jab. He's only going to be moving into it, especially because Errol Spence has a little bit longer of a reach, right? And he likes to step with that punch. Now, Danny Garcia did do a decent job of countering the jab with the right hand. He just wasn't nearly as active as he was supposed to be with that shot. Danny Garcia did have some good rounds. I thought that round one was really close. Danny Garcia was winning it, I think, all the way up until the last 10 seconds, and Spence landed a couple of punches, and then that round can go either way. I can't remember. I think Spence won the second round. There wasn't a lot of action, but I remember Spence winning the second round. I think the third round was close, but I thought I gave that round to Spence. And even though I think that one could have gone to Garcia, and then I gave round 4 to Garcia, and then I didn't give Garcia a round until round 9. I think Spence won 5, 6, 7, and 8, and mostly just due to inactivity from Garcia. Now, he was landing a lot of body shots. And I felt like if he went to the body a little bit more, maybe he could have slowed Spence down enough to win the last few rounds. But if you looked at the scorecards, they were pretty wide, and justifiably so. It got to the point where Danny Garcia was getting kind of walked down, and because Danny Garcia wasn't crossing the line, transitioning his weight, and getting his weight to the front foot, he couldn't bait any other attacks from Errol Spence, and Errol Spence was doing enough points to kind of score and win the rounds, keep Danny Garcia off his line. Maybe the pace was just a little bit more than I was expecting that Danny Garcia could take. I thought that Danny Garcia, with a little bit of control with the right hand countering, but also I was expecting him to use the left hook a lot. And I think I saw him throw 5 left hooks, and they were all to the body. He didn't throw any crosses. He didn't really get his weight to the front foot and make any attacks. It looked like he was sitting on the back foot the whole time, expecting to counter Errol Spence with the right hand, and that was going to solve all of his problems. Kell Brook. Kell Brook had similar success in his fight with his straight right hand, catching Spence, but one of the biggest reasons I thought that Danny Garcia had a chance to win this fight is because of that killer left hook that he had. But Danny Garcia never really put himself into a position to land it. And if you're not going to change positions and you're going to fight in one position against Errol Spence, he's going to beat you. Okay? You got to be able to transition your weight and get your weight to the front foot. You have to be able to change positions. Errol Spence is, on the line. He's a dictator. He owns the line. He's really, really hard to fight on the line. On my Patreon, when we were talking about this fight, we talked about how he has a similar, fight style or fight idea or theory as Floyd Mayweather, right? Get on the line, land more punches than your opponent, get off the line, right? Now, Mayweather's is a little backwards from Spence, but similar, right? Get on the line, he usually lands one punch and then exits the line. Errol Spence says, okay, I'm just going to stay on the line until I land more punches than you. He was able to do that enough times with Danny Garcia that Danny Garcia didn't want to stay on the line with him and throw punches. And Errol Spence was able to create enough space by flooding the line with punches and kind of be favored in more engagements in that sense. Kind of sweep the rounds, It was a pretty good performance. I was definitely expecting Garcia to be able to hurt Spence. I do think that he kind of caught him a couple of times. but I don't think he was in any real danger. I don't think that he was hurt like Mikey Garcia did. Even though he caught him with the same punch that Mikey Garcia did, just like I predicted in the preview, he landed that punch over and over and over again. Mikey Garcia landed it only one time, but Danny Garcia couldn't really capitalize on it. Wasn't really able to follow up on any of those shots, again, because he didn't really throw his left hook. And that was another really, really important idea for Danny Garcia to have the ability to make this fight competitive, was to be able to get to the front foot and threaten Errol Spence and stop Errol Spence from attacking him when he's on the front foot. Remember I put up a video earlier about the Eduardo Ramirez versus Miguel Flores, how he baited with the right hand to get to the front foot, and then when that attack came, the counter attack came, he moved his way to the back foot and countered him with the hook. This is exactly what I was expecting Danny Garcia to do in this fight with Errol Spence, because Errol Spence looks to defend that position with his straight left hand and not his hook and not his cross, and usually not with feints and probes. So I was expecting Errol Spence to throw a lot of straight left hands at Danny Garcia while he was on the front foot, but Danny Garcia didn't look to want to be on the front foot. He looked to want to be baiting Errol Spence to the back foot and countering him with the right hand. And it looks like he just chose the wrong strategy. It looks like he decided that sitting on the back foot, landing the right hand was more important than opening up the right hook. Now, some interesting stuff, Errol Spence being asked to make call-outs was really funny. He said, "No, I'm going to buy a ranch and just start farming ducks, just to become a duck farmer, just duck, duck, duck." And then when Manny Pacquiao says he wants to fight goose, right? Not looking to really get into any welterweight sweepstakes, right? All those years of calling out and, maybe he does deserve a good time to relax and hang out with his family. Nothing wrong with that, and nothing probably wrong with waiting for a Manny Pacquiao fight either. But with Keith Thurman calling you out, Terrence Crawford at your fight to call you out, right? And we did see a lot of success with that straight right hand from Danny Garcia. Do we think that Crawford will fight Errol Spence in the same position? Are we even talking about that, Crawford? Ooh, what about Keith Thurman? Do we think that Keith Thurman could land a right hand hard enough to hurt Spence? We do know that Keith Thurman can counter that shot too, although Keith Thurman does not have the constitution to take body shots like Danny Garcia apparently did. So that would be a banger of a fight. That one probably has to end in KO, right? Doesn't it? Now, this fight, I didn't think that Danny Garcia could win a decision. I thought the only way that he could win is if he could hurt Errol Spence. And it's interesting because I do think that in the later rounds, the 9, 10, I think 9 and 10 I gave to Danny Garcia. 11 I went to Errol Spence. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. I know it was competitive, but I do think I still wound up giving that one to Errol. And then the 12th, I don't really remember who won, but I do remember thinking that if Danny Garcia didn't knock him out, it didn't matter. So I didn't really score it. But Danny Garcia kind of waiting to the last 5 seconds to kind of step it up and let some shots go and do what I thought he was going to do on the line the whole fight. I thought he was going to do that the whole fight. Let his hands go and try to touch Errol Spence up. But yeah. I think it was 60-40 with no knockout. I think that's what I was thinking the round split would be, something like that. And this round split is 66-33, right? So kind of close in that regard. Well, if it's 8-4, I don't remember what the judges' scorecards were. 116, 112, 117, 111. I think that's fine, right? That's okay. I think the fight was a little bit closer than that, as Danny landed a lot of body shots that he probably didn't get as much credit for as he should, because those are power shots. But Errol Spence did land a lot of power shots himself, right? He was right up there with Errol Spence. or with Danny Garcia. So, but anyway, where does Danny Garcia go from here? I don't know, man. I'm not sure. He can definitely rebuild. It looks like he needed a little bit of controlling the lead hand and crossing the line to be able to threaten Spence and stop Spence from entering the line in the same position every time, because that didn't really work for him. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he's going to go from here, or who he's going to fight next. You know, maybe he'll wind up fighting Teofimo Lopez, right? Or Mikey Garcia. I'd still watch that fight. I think that'd be a good fight. But maybe if Teofimo Lopez wants to move up in weight, who knows? Probably not. They might be boys. But anyway, Errol Spence, very likely just waiting for the Manny Pacquiao fight. To be honest, no shame in that. Maybe Crawford will wind up fighting Keith Thurman if Keith Thurman doesn't get a dance partner, because I don't think Errol Spence is going to fight Keith Thurman. I don't think Josecito Lopez is going to fight Danny Garcia, although that'd be a cool fight, you know. I'd favor Garcia in it by a large margin if he throws his freaking left hook. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to fight who next, you know, because if Errol Spence is going to sit out and hope for the Pacquiao sweepstakes, and Crawford was obviously here looking for a fight, right? Why else would he be there? No one's going to fight Garcia because Garcia just lost to Spence. No shame. No shame. Brooke just got... Oh, Brooke and Garcia, they could fight. Although Brooke is probably going to fight Khan, right? They both just lost to Crawford, so now they'll both fight each other. Although Brooke fighting Garcia would be cool. Probably favor... Well, I guess I'd probably favor Brooke. Brooke's a pretty big welterweight, just like Errol Spence is. But I don't know. That'd be a good fight. It'd be really interesting. I do think Brooke is a little bit higher level of boxer than Garcia, but Garcia with the power. Although he didn't hurt Spence like it looked like Brooke hurt Spence, so maybe my boy James McCall from Patreon was right that Brooke was a bigger puncher than Garcia. I wasn't convinced. I thought he could still hurt him. Where's that left hook at? Anyway, I'm just rambling now, and I got some film study to do. So if you guys want to check it out, come join my Patreon. Yeah, I'm going to be opening up a yearly membership, and I think I'm going to be doing a discounted rate. So come check out my Patreon, and I've got a bunch of videos on there, you know, some really cool stuff. And yeah, we'll be watching this fight next. Later, guys.